On June 18, 2023, 5 people sealed themselves inside a carbon fiber tube the size of a minivan and descended 12,500 feet into the North Atlantic. They never made it back. The vessel was called Titan, operated by a company called OceanGate Expeditions. Its mission that morning was straightforward: take wealthy tourists to see the most famous shipwreck in history, the Titanic, resting 2.5 miles beneath the ocean's surface. The passenger list included Stockton Rush, OceanGate's co-founder and CEO, who was piloting the dive himself, British billionaire Hamish Harding, Pakistani businessman Shahzada Dawood and his 19-year-old son Suleiman, and French Titanic expert Paul-Henri Nargeolet. Each tourist had paid $250,000 for the opportunity. Titan launched from its support ship, the Polar Prince, at around 8 a.m. Newfoundland time. The descent was supposed to take about 2 hours. Communication with the surface happened through text messages sent via an acoustic link, essentially underwater sonar pings. About an hour and 45 minutes into the dive, those messages stopped. At first, this didn't trigger immediate alarm. Communication dropouts weren't unusual in deep-sea operations, but when Titan failed to resurface at its scheduled time that afternoon, the situation shifted from concern to crisis. The US Coast Guard launched a massive search and rescue operation, coordinating with Canadian forces, commercial vessels, and deep-sea experts from around the world. For days, the world watched. News networks provided constant coverage. The families waited. Search planes scanned thousands of square miles of ocean surface. Underwater robots were deployed. There was talk of oxygen running out. Titan reportedly had a 96-hour life support system, which meant if the submersible was intact somewhere on the ocean floor, there was a ticking clock. But here's what the public didn't know yet, what naval analysts suspected almost immediately. The US Navy had detected an acoustic anomaly consistent with an implosion in the area around the time Titan lost contact. They didn't announce this publicly during the search, not wanting to destroy hope while uncertainty remained. On June 22nd, 4 days after Titan's disappearance, a remotely operated vehicle found debris. The tail cone first, then pieces of the pressure hull scattered on the seafloor about 1,600 feet from the Titanic's bow. The conclusion was inescapable and immediate. Titan had suffered a catastrophic implosion. All 5 people aboard died instantly, likely within milliseconds, as the crushing pressure of the deep ocean collapsed the hull. Now, here's where this story gets complicated. Titan wasn't just any submersible, it was an experimental vessel that had raised serious concerns within the deep-sea exploration community. Unlike traditional submersibles made entirely of titanium or steel, Titan's hull combined titanium end caps with a carbon fiber cylinder. Stockton Rush believed this design would democratize deep-sea exploration, making it cheaper and more accessible. But several experts had warned OceanGate about safety concerns. In 2018, more than 36 industry leaders, deep-sea explorers, and oceanographers sent a letter expressing worry about OceanGate's approach to safety and certification. The Marine Technology Society cautioned that the company's experimental methods could result in problems from minor to catastrophic. Rush had dismissed these concerns, arguing that excessive regulation stifled innovation. Titan had made multiple successful dives to the Titanic in 2021 and 2022. But carbon fiber behaves differently under repeated compression cycles than metal does. It can develop microscopic damage that's difficult to detect, and it doesn't bend before breaking. It simply fails. The submersible also lacked certification from independent maritime organizations, a standard practice for passenger-carrying vessels. Rush had been open about this choice, considering it part of his maverick approach to deep-sea tourism. Pattern interrupt. The Titan carried a PlayStation controller as its steering mechanism, not as jury-rigged as it sounds. Modern military and commercial submarines use similar gaming controllers for certain operations because they're intuitive and reliable. But it became a symbol of everything the critics feared, a casual approach to an environment that permits no mistakes. On June 18, 2023, the dream of making the Titanic accessible to tourists died, along with 5 people at the bottom of the North Atlantic. What remains is an uncomfortable question. When pushing boundaries between innovation and safety, who gets to decide where the line is? Stockton Rush bet his life and the lives of 4 others that he'd found the right balance. The ocean, indifferent to ambition, rendered its verdict in milliseconds. The Titanic, which sank in 1912 after its builders declared it virtually unsinkable, now has its own mirror image on the seafloor nearby, another monument to confidence that exceeded caution.